So today on the Real and Ryan Show, we're speaking to another one of these amazing Children's Miracle Network families, and we would love to introduce you guys to the Bradley family. Darius, Desiree, and Deonc are here. Welcome, everyone.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Deonc is full of smiles over there.
I know.
Every day.
Mom, do you want to take the lead here real quick and
Sure.
explain to us the obstacles that you've had to overcome as a family?
Yeah, absolutely. So Deonc was born with a very rare genetic syndrome called JARC11. We did know about 8 months gestation that she was going to be born with complications, but I'll be honest, had no idea the magnitude of what we were facing until she was born.
Yeah.
JARC11 is rare. There, at the time of her birth, I want to say she was 45th documented case. In the
You're
world.
kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Whoa.
knowing that, there was really nothing out there, right? Texas Children was very honest with us, and they said, we've never treated a child with JARC11 syndrome, but we partnered together to kind of get us to the finish line.
That's awesome.
So she does undergo a very invasive chest cavity expansion surgery called titanium rib expansion surgery every 6 months.
Yeah.
She's been doing that since she was about 2 years old.
So tell everyone who's listening, Desiree, what does JARC11 actually do when it comes to the rib cage?
Yeah, so what it does is it's a skeletal deformity. So her chest cavity is very, very small. And as
Like
a
it wasn't going to grow with her as she grew past 2.
Not at all. So even now, like she's 15, but her chest cavity is that of probably maybe a 3-year-old.
Whoa.
Wow.
So we go in and they expand her chest via the Vector procedure to kind of give her lungs because, okay,
Unbelievable.
if the chest is small, the lungs can't grow. And unfortunately, what does that mean?
You can't breathe.
Yeah.
You can't breathe.
Wow.
Now, you use assisted breathing devices, correct? Like, Can you
Yes.
explain to me what that is?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm pretty sure our listeners can kind of hear that little ocean sound
Yes.
in the
Here,
background.
I'll get the mic a little bit closer. Here we go. Hi,
And
Deonc.
so she has a tracheostomy. She uses a ventilator to breathe. But I'll tell you, that does not stop her. She is a sassy 15-year-old little girl.
You give
Well,
mom and
young
dad
lady.
lip?
Oh my gosh, she's so
Oh, yeah.
cute. So, Desiree and Darius, when you guys got the prognosis when you were 8 months gestational, did they tell you what the timeline was to expect to have Deonc? Did they tell you that, well, we don't have any cases of anybody being past 3 years old or 4 years old?
Yeah. So that's the news that you do not want, right? As a first-time parent, as a second-time, third-time parent.
Yeah.
Those discrepancies, that verbiage is something that you really do not look forward to hearing, right? So Deonc's life expectancy was the first 24 hours of life.
Whoa.
Oh,
She
wow.
would not even survive the first 24 hours of life.
And you
right?
had to mentally prepare
And
yourself
so-
that you were going to lose your child.
Exactly. Like we had to, mentally, spiritually, physically, and beyond, be ready, even if we were not ready at that moment. We had to put a 911 on every area of our lives, right?
Gosh.
That's how capitalized the sense of urgency was at that very moment. So, mom is not able to see her daughter. Soon as she delivered, dad is not even able to see his daughter. You have a room filled, about 50 people in the room specialty teams. You have this specialist, you have that specialist, all of these bells and whistles.
Can you take us back to that moment?
Absolutely.
And I hate to make you relive all this.
No worries.
But you're at this point where you got all the specialists coming in. What's the first steps that they took?
The first steps that they took was, they had a team around my wife and I, making sure that our mental stability was collected, right? Because no one knew what the outcome was going to be. As soon as Deonc was into the world, they whisked her away to another room.
You can't even hold her.
Right? We didn't see her like that, right? Because the sense of urgency to save her life,
Yes.
even though life is just being given,
Yes.
Yeah.
was that urgent. And they had to do so right away.
Was it immediately to surgery?
Immediately.
No, not to surgery.
Not to surgery.
Not to surgery, but the whisking of her, going into the other room. They're trying to intubate her and save her life and all of this stuff. And it wasn't the normal, hey, mom, hey, dad, here's your daughter, la, la, la. No, it was tears instantly. It was just a lot of, different language that we weren't used to hearing, right?
yeah.
And it was just a lot of people that we weren't used to seeing.
So
right?
if the prognosis was, Darius, 24 hours of life,
Yeah.
once she made that 24 hours, did they then say, okay, the next 24 hours? And then every day you
was-
lived
it was
24
every
hours at a
day.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
it
was
was.
every day. And
It was.
and it wasn't like they were bullying or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
But they were giving us their most organic hypothesis.
Yes, yes.
Right? Because this is such a rare situation.
Yes.
And in Deonc's case, no one ever made it past the age of 2 with the severity, right? With the severity of this syndrome.
Right.
Right? And Deonc was born with over 27 different prognosis, right? And so, this has just been one of the most major, and that's not to exempt or excuse any of the others, because she's also deaf, right? So we all communicate by sign language as a family as well. But, to tell you that, I can speak from being a father and a man and a husband, right? At that moment, I had to become a husband that my wife has never had. At that moment, I had to become a father that now plural form my kids, because we only had one at the time, but Deonc made 2. So now I had to become a father that I've never been, right? And I had to become a man that I never thought that I would have to grow into becoming, right? So all dealing with my own worries and concerns and fears. And I had to know at that very moment what solidification truly meant and looked like. I had to become it, right? Because my family, they're my structure, right? And I'm their foundation. So if they're building upon something that's not solidified, am I really holding them up? So I didn't really have an opportunity to shed the tears and to worry about this. I had to instantly lean on my faith. I'm a kingdom man before anything. And that's the only reason that I was able and still am able to this day to be this father and to be this husband that my family so desperately needs me to be.
Well, that's amazing you were able to find that place, Darius. I think a lot of parents, a lot of people, you don't know what you are made of until you are called to show it.
You're thrust into that situation. And has there ever been a day where you're able to just go, okay, I think things are going to be okay?
She's 15 now, guys. Deonc is made to 15.
But are you still constantly facing?
Go ahead, wife. You want to speak on it?
I tell people it's a constant, I would say, grieving process.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things like, there was a time we were at a water park. We have 3 kids. So we have our oldest is 23, Darius Jr. Deonc is our middle sandwich, 15. And then we have Daniel, a.k.a. Bubba, is 11. Well, yes, he's 11. I got to think about that.
And I got 3 too. You kind of lose track sometimes.
Okay. So we were at a water park with our 11-year-old. And when, the kids are at the water park, Deonc was home with her nurse because she can't go to traditional water parks.
Right.
And I'm looking at this little girl with her family, and I was so moved. And I'm sorry, I'm going to cry. But I looked at that little girl, and I was like, wow, will my daughter ever be able to come to a water park with us as a family? So it's those punch moments that bring us back to just how precious her life really is and those missed milestones that I think a lot of families go through every day.
Yeah. And with that being said, though traditionally there's a lot that we miss out on, but I think through true compromise, that compromise presents our greatest opportunities. And so just because it doesn't look traditional doesn't mean that it can't have its own appearance, right?
Yeah.
So it allows you to then learn how to breathe through your mouth when your nasal passage is congested, right? You can still breathe.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can still breathe. And I think that's the walk of life. Now, it's easier said than done. It's not simple. I mean, it's not easy. It's simple. But it's like when you're talking about your life, your heartbeats, right? No one knows how many remains, right? No one knows how many remains. So what do you do with the ones that you have? So when you're faced with compromise, we had an opportunity to tap out and quit.
Yeah.
Or we had an opportunity to learn what it is that we're dealing with and become better. And so we chose that route, right? We learn and we're still learning. And we're becoming better each and every day.
So let me ask you guys now that she's 15, and we were talking about how most kids weren't even made it to 2 or past 2 at the most severe stage. At what point, I mean, everything I'm sure the doctors are like, holy smokes, Deonc, you're amazing. But where are you now? At 15 years old, where are you now when y'all go to the doctor's offices? Now it's just about like, okay, we're just going to maintain. Like now I don't think you ever can breathe, but what have they said the last 13 years every time she has a birthday?
Well, they're blown away. You know, I always tell people we were on borrowed time, but now we see like, wow, she's 15. No one ever expected her to live to 15.
Is she the only case, Desiree, that's made it to 15?
Yeah, so with the severity, yes.
Okay.
There are other children that have milder forms of Charcot-Levin, although the numbers, there's less than 200 kids in the world.
Oh, wow.
I would say persons in the world with Charcot-Levin, but she has one of the most severe cases. So when she has 13 different specialists that she sees to kind of manage her day-to-day
all at
life
Texas
functions.
Children's.
All at Texas Children's. And when they see her, they're just like, oh my gravy. Look at her. Like she is thriving. And, you know, we just take it one day at a time. Our team is very collaborative. So there's no egos involved. Everybody just rolls up their sleeves and it's okay. This is what we have today. Even when she's having a not so great day, we're in the hospital when we do have frequent hospital stays for other issues. It's let's roll up the sleeves and come up with a plan for her to get her home as quick as possible. And
which is why it's important we've been doing this for the Children's Miracle Network. People listening right now on behalf of Texas Children's Hospital, I mean, you guys are a great example of a family they have helped. So why don't you guys are the speakers on this.
Yeah.
Tell people why it's so important to donate for the Children's Miracle Network and to Texas Children's Hospital.
Yeah, and I'll say one of the things, especially around the money that's raised in the community for Children's Miracle Network and Texas Children's Hospital, all the money goes to treat kids to make miracles like Deonc's. So every dollar raised goes directly to support these kids. And while we were in the hospital, and I know this will resonate with quite a few families in the community, we ended up losing our insurance coverage.
Oh gosh.
Right? Yeah. And people are like, we went about, I would say, 28, 29 days without insurance coverage. And people are like, oh, that's not a lot. That's just a month. But when you're looking at like $190,000+ a week in care.
Oh, my gosh.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, we have not received ever a bill for that money for those 28 days. Thanks to the support of the money raised by Children's Miracle Network hospitals going to Texas Children to support families that ran into the situation like us.
Unbelievable.
Which could happen to anybody.
It can.
Anybody.
It can happen to anyone. You hear all the time in community, people are one event away from medical bankruptcy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We were happy to avoid that due to the support of generous donors in the community, the CMNH.
I wanted to ask you, so you've got two other children. How do you all, like rally together? I mean, or do you rally together?
Yeah, and that's a great question, right? Because, discrepancy can disturb the atmosphere in such a way that you cannot retract what you already
Because some of the other
right?
kids, they're like, you have to focus more on one child than the other two.
So that's the balance, right? So it's like our boys are very active, band, football, basketball, you name it, Boy Scouts, you name it, right? And so you cannot put a pause or, DC their lifestyle just because now something else has arisen and emerged, right? So now you have an opportunity to reconstruct, right? And so you're going to have to make more byways in your life, in your family, right? You can't stop on that one-way street. You can't stop on that one bridge that you built. Every situation commands and demands and blesses us with an opportunity to become better, to pave more, to climb higher. And that's what it did, right? So it's challenging for my wife and I. Of course, something has to be sacrificed. And what we decided to sacrifice is not just the ring on my finger, but I am the ring, right? So I vow to better or worse, right? Rich or poor, sickness, health, right? So you have to be unconditional is what I'm saying. And when those things happen, everybody have to know the fine tune. Everybody must know the lyrics to the song. Desiree, my wife, I call her Desi, guys. Desi and I have decided to sacrifice our traditional way of being married So our kids' lifestyle won't be interrupted in a way that's so abrasive that it stains them throughout the rest of their lives.
Tell us how, Darius, how have you
Trade-off?
So the trade-off was this. Movie time for Desi and I is watching something on the phone on the way to Walmart, right? So we can have enough time to give to Darius because he needs us there, right? Daniel, he needs us there, right? So we're an inclusive family. We try to take every step together. And when the steps are individual, right, we have enough capital residual build up in the family that no one is truly affected.
Well, I was going to say, Jerry, sometimes you got to have somebody that helps you, because how can you? I mean, where's the extra help? You can only do so much. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are working for a living. You're raising your children. Yeah. You're 24/7 immersed in this. Yeah. Where is a little bit of a break? Like, where do y'all catch a little bit of a break?
The respite comes in. We have our phenomenal staff, our nurses. They're beautiful, right? They're not just our nurses. That's the title that their job gives to them, right? But we have truly embraced them, and they've embraced us as family, right? So a lot of families have that outside support. Some families do not. And it's not to say, oh, that's a bad family, that's a good family. It's just life. Sometimes you may live out in another state. You may not have any family there. Your friends are busy. So in our case, to be honest, totally honest, 97% of the care and the stability comes from my wife and I, right? We have that 3% that, is outsourced, but everyone is living. And when you say stuff like this, it can sound harsh, but it's a true reality, right? You're not pointing fingers at anyone. It's my wife and I. Like, we're sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night, and it's been for 15 years, right? And
you maintain that pace for all that time.
And we're working, right? So my wife is in a medical profession, right? All right. She's a physician's trainer and does a lot in her field. I'm a best-selling author and motivational speaker.
I can tell.
Right?
Yeah,
I can tell.
Your eloquence is amazing. I can tell. I mean, you mentioned, you keep bringing up, I've heard you say the words traditional family. Well, family is what you make it.
It's
And you have made probably the most inspirational family I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Or ever heard from.
Thank you.
Bradley's.
Thank you.
We are in awe of you guys.
Hey, I tell you guys, it's life, right? Our kids have taught us how to become better than our best. And Deonc have collectively, Deonc have taught her brothers how to be more compassionate, me and Mom how to be more compassionate. And I use the word more because it's not that we weren't before, but we can always, as long as your eyes are open, your ears your heart is beating and you're breathing, it's not only the evidence that you are alive, right? It's also the promise that you're still becoming. So Deonc showed us that, and have taught us and continue to do so, that we still have a lot more to become, a lot more to do. And we'll take on the hardship if it's going to help other families navigate through this lifestyle or any lifestyle, right? Life is abrasive at times for anyone, right? So if we can be your physical trainer on teaching you how to stretch your legs to get over that hurdle, even through the Charlie horse, right? Even through the cramping, right? When you're winded, because that's when it's most needed.
Right?
100%. It's not just when you're at your physical best, right? And you can run this race with no problem. But what happens when you are cramping? What happens when your toes, you can't even feel them anymore? You have to rely on and think about who's waiting on you, your reason, your why, and your purpose. Who's dependent on you to get there? And I'm not talking about the finish line, guys, because you asked earlier, you both asked, what is life? How does life look now? Well, to be honest with you, right now we're being encouraged that Deonc is literally, medically speaking, literally outgrowing her lungs. What does that translate to? It can be whenever. It can happen whenever.
I hear you.
Without warning.
But I say this, I don't receive that.
No, we don't
take
receive
it one day at a time, and I tell people we're focusing on the quality versus the quantity. So she has a rock star of a life. We're gonna keep rolling this.
And it sounds to me like you all just enjoy and savor every little nuance of every day.
We do, man.
And you've probably inspired people to take a break and look at their own lives. And if you are listening to this right now and you don't have any health hurdle in your life, it's all just extenuating stresses, like you don't like your job, or you have a project, or your kids are giving you too much lip, or you don't feel like this really puts in perspective for a lot of people. So I really, really thank you guys for taking time with our show today. And Darius, I need to know where you get this book. What is the book called and where you get the book?
Yeah.
Because people need more Darius in their lives.
I appreciate it, guys. Absolutely. And I appreciate you for giving me this opportunity. It's a collective series of a 4-part book themed The Impact of Influence, right?
Okay.
I am one of the co-authors on the book, on Volume 1 and Volume 2, which both are currently bestsellers on Amazon as we speak. Visionary author is Chip Baker, my brother Chip Baker, who have blessed me with this opportunity. In Volume 1, my chapter is Go Get It, which is my saying, as my motivational saying. And in Volume 2, my chapter is themed Peace Be Still, right? And so I'm currently working on 3 more books at this moment. And yeah, guys, we're doing a little tour and everything like that. So it's amazing. God will give us our contrast that we then utilize as our content to go on and be the low and high pressure in others' lives that will enable them to throttle their plane, thrust their plane, and keep their plane in the air in hopes that they will become a better pilot as well. So yeah,
Bravo.
The Impact of Influence, Volume 1 and 2.
Fantastic. Is there any social that you can put out there or people can follow?
God, you guys are
absolutely.
awesome.
On social media, I'm known to the world as Divine Encourager. So on Instagram, you can find me there, Divine_Encourager_. You'll see it, Darius Bradley Sr. My 3 words are Go Get It. And my handle is Divine Encourager. And also on YouTube, Divine Encourager. And Facebook as well, Divine Encourager, guys. So, yeah, many blessings to everyone. Go get it.
Go get it.
Thank you
I'm
so
glad,
much.
Bradley's, that you guys have the Divine Encourager to help you along, Desiree, and your whole family. God bless you guys in every step of the way.
You're going to change
God
a
bless
lot of
Deonc.
lives.
Oh, man.
We're
that's the
trying
plan.
one at a time.
One at a time.
It's the Children's Miracle Network, Radiothon, Texas Children's Hospital, The Rula and Ryan Show. We'll be back on 104.1 KRBE.